Sarah Gamble Beresford has invited the psychic private eyes to look into the mysterious death of a family member that took place over 150 years ago. In the mid-1800s, Sarah's distant relative, Anne Haycock, was found dead in a beer barrel in the cellar of the Dog Inn pub in Nether Whittaker. Family tradition has it that Anne committed suicide, but there is no official record of her death.
My nan died last year, so my aunt decided to trace back her family tree. My nan's brother actually told her about the story of Anne, that she was found dead in a beer barrel in the pub cellar, and it was registered as committed suicide. I honestly didn't think that I'd be picked, to be truthful with you. So it was a bit of a shock, but it was just really just to find out if that's what happened to her, because I didn't believe it for 1 second when I was told she committed suicide.
Top UK psychic TJ Higgs has risen to the challenge of looking back over 150 years to try and help Sarah solve this unique mystery. Unlike other readings in this series, Sarah has no connection or knowledge of the spirit she wishes to contact. TJ meets with her and her friend Caroline. None of the psychics working on this case have been given any background information.
I'd like to welcome you, Caroline.
Hello.
And Sarah.
Hello.
Thank you for coming today. Let's see if I can blend with the spirit world and help you with your dilemma, okay? You have a man standing behind you, Sarah, that's quite, what I want to say is a strong man. Do you know, as people would have perceived him in life,
Yeah.
it would have been very strong, but to me he's like a teddy bear, and I also feel very determined with him. Would you understand this?
Yeah.
Okay, it does feel like there's somebody else here. And also on your dad's side, there's a grandfather feeling that's coming forward as well, but that's not who I'm looking for. Now I need to ask them all to leave, yes?
Okay.
Okay.
At the same time, psychic medium Tony Stockwell conducts a photo reading. However, as there are no pictures of Anne, he has to work with a photo of a pub with the same name as the one the body was found in. These are not ideal conditions to work in, and Sarah may well go home disappointed.
Confused completely. It's a bit of a house. I was kind of wondering why I'm not looking at the photograph of her, rather than having a piece of paper here to work on and to work with.
I don't feel like I've got my best outfit on, okay? Will this person also have dark hair like you?
Yes.
Okay, good. So you've just started to change, okay.
Okay, I think I've got it. Should we go back again? This piece of paper has relevance to do with a lady, but I need to be going back, so it feels more like I'm travelling back years for this lady's connection. And I feel she has long hair with a parting in the middle, and the hair is worn in a bun, and I feel she has a long skirt on and a light coloured top like a blouse.
A bit more bouncy, that's the feeling that I'm getting now, okay? And I keep feeling like I want to say, look at me, look at me.
As I connect with this paper, I get a feeling it has something to do with a lady, and yet I know that I'm tumbling back in years, because I do feel as though I'm going towards 1900 or late 1800s. Oh, I see. That's fine. Let me go again then. I don't understand. I want to get it, and it's getting on my nerves.
Hold on one sec, I'm just going to drop my energy and start again. Hold on. All right, come on, mate, come and talk to me. It's like I'm being spun, like I'm being pushed. I feel like I'm on a waltzer. I almost feel like I want to keep pushing you on your shoulders. It's pushing you forward, pushing you forward.
This is random and completely bizarre, I don't get it. But if I was pushing a corner, I would say this has some kind of connection with a lady that was in service and had got pregnant. Possibly if I were to go there, connect with this space, it would be easier. So I'm hoping I'm correct. I can't really feel that she exists in living memory. So she's before living memory.
Before she was in this pub, do you know, like if she was in a station or a bus station or a train station or something like that? Because I feel like there's something to do with travel, and I feel like there's a lot of people also, like commuter traffic. And would you also know if they've been in a pub or some sort of environment where there's a lot of noise, music in the background, clinking glasses?
Yes.
Okay. This is a lady that I'm looking for then, not a man?
Yes.
Okay, lovely, darling, come and talk to me. It's like where you could just pop in, you know, where people would be dressed in all different sorts of ways. You don't have to have like a dress code to go there.
Right.
It's almost like I can't feel my teeth because they're all tingling. It's like I've got blood in my mouth.
There's something in my mouth, something in my mouth. Please bear with me a second, because I've got two feelings coming into my mind. I'm just aware if I keep staring at this building as though I should go into the cellar. So I need to go down into the earth, into the cellar. And then I kind of think that I should push my face into something. I feel like I'm being drowned in a bucket.
But her wrists are quite slim, you know, so she's got quite slim wrists. It's weird, why are you showing me slim wrists? I'm just bruised on my wrists. I feel like someone's just got hold of my hand and just moved it out of the way. Do you know when someone is moved or forced, you know when you're taken and you don't really want to, instead of holding the hand, the wrist is being held. I'm taken,
Yeah.
I haven't volunteered to go. There's definitely something here to the side of her head. You know, if you cut your head and you get blood on your hair. The way I'm being shown it's like I'm going to two places. You know, when you're dragged to a car and then you're taken somewhere else, it feels like I'm going to two places rather than one.
I got it. You know, you take a big barrel and you cut it in half and you sometimes put your flowers in it, but this didn't have flowers in it, it's a half a barrel. It's a barrel, it's not a half a barrel, I'm sorry. I see a big barrel, a big vat, like a barrel, wooden barrel, and I feel she's in the barrel. I feel I'm being pushed down.
Feels like somebody wants to own her, wants her
Right.
to be his, you know. There's more to it than just, I'm just going to take her out of the pub and I'm just going to take her. It's not just a rape, that's what she's showing me. It's almost like the feeling that my throat's cut. I just had nothing there at all, everything's taken. I can hear the noise of the glasses, I can see somebody taking her, and I know that this lady is murdered. And she would have been hit on the head first. She was dead before she went in the barrel.
I feel like my legs and arms are poking out, and I'm under the ground, I'm like in a cellar, and it's dark, and there's a man laughing. The big man laughing.
She was taken first, and she was taken somewhere else, but she was murdered.
They thought she might have slipped, but of course she didn't. She was held under and died.
Thank you for coming. Thank you, Caroline. Thank you. Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you. Since I had the one-to-one with Tracy, I've been informed that my aunt's actually found two ladies of the same name, so we weren't actually sure whether she was part of our bloodline. But obviously having the reading with Tracy and what she come up with has made me definitely think 100% that she is on our bloodline.
Definitely being shown a man that would be very strong in life, and I also feel very determined with him.
She described my granddad and things that she was coming out with that connected to him was so accurate.
That's what she's showing me, and as soon as you just asked me that, it's almost like the feeling that my throat's cut.
That kind of took me by surprise a bit, and didn't want to hear anything really bad sort of thing, and you kind of like put two together a little bit when you hear that. You just knew something bad was going to come out, which I found really, really sad.
You know, when someone is moved or forced, you know, when you're taken.
I found that like, I went to smack him in the mouth.
Before she was in this pub, do you know, like, if she was in a station?
That didn't make sense to me at the time, but then I later found out that there was a railway station quite near to the pub.
I know that she's taken, I know that she's murdered.
That shocked me so much. I was not expecting to hear anything like that, and I think I just jumped out of my skin.
I feel like the way that I'm being dragged or the way I'm being pulled is like I'm tripping up on my shoes.
She told us that she was dragged through the pub, so obviously there was nobody there that could help her or anything. He just sounded like a big horrible bully.
Coming up, with over 15 dog-ins in the United Kingdom, TJ uses a map and pendulum to find which one is the right location. and the spirit world deliver a taste of things to come.
Back in the 1800s, there was a high magnesium count. That would leave a taste of blood in your mouth. So I've got blood in my mouth.
Sarah Gamble Beresford has invited the psychic private eyes to help solve the mysterious death of distant relative Anne Haycock. She supposedly committed suicide in a beer barrel in the cellar of the Dog Inn pub in the mid-1800s. The challenge for the team is to connect with someone who passed over 150 years ago. There are 15 red pins on the map, each marking a different Dog Inn. TJ uses a pendulum to locate the area where the investigation will continue.
The way that I work with a pendulum, the way my perception is of a pendulum, is I'm going to encourage Anne to come forward and influence my mind, which will influence the motor reactions to my hand. So I'm going to ask Anne to show me yes, which will mean that the pendulum will swing this way, and obviously at the moment I'm encouraging the pendulum to do that. And if it's the answer's no, then we'll be going backwards and forwards. But I will still try and scry it over so we'll actually see how the pendulum works with the energy. So if my energy's right, then we'll get more of a reaction as we come over here. So we'll start up in Sunderland, and in my mind all I'm asking is this an area, would this Dog Inn connect to Anne in her lifetime? And as you can see, the reaction is backwards and forwards, which is a no. I just feel empty when I'm over here. I'm above Birmingham, Solihull is just there. There's a change in the energy there, but still a no. But as I'm feeling that and as I'm sensing that, my hands are now starting to tingle. So we must be moving in the right direction. You can see the energy starting to build up. Stronger. And what this does is not only is it affecting my motor skills, because I can feel that twitching down my arm, my solar plexus, our stomach area where we work from, is really building quite high. The energy's building there. I feel like there's a rural connection to her, but I've just got so much energy over this side of the map. I mean, Norfolk did move a little bit, but it's got to be somewhere that's very rural, but is still not built up, you know, somewhere where it's just not developed in some way, or there's that sort of feeling. The area that we're getting more energy is the Birmingham area. Once your energy has been raised, you don't want to hang about. So I think it's best if we get on the road now and see where it takes us.
TJ is directed by the spirit world to Highgate Brewery near Birmingham. She has no idea why, but knows she must follow her instincts.
I really wanted to be able to visualise in my own mind the size of a hogshead barrel, which is the barrel that Anne was supposedly committed suicide in, which we feel she was murdered in.
Big vat, like a barrel, wooden barrel, and I feel she's in the barrel.
It would have held 432 pints. This machine here was actually second-hand in 1922. You can just feel, though, psychically, when you feel back into the energy, the amount of time and labour. There's a real sense of pride that comes through with this. You've got this sense of the danger element you just wouldn't put into your own mind. I just keep seeing this being brand new, and these dowels would have only recently gone in, and the brass would have been a lot brighter on the taps. This barrel is full of water. The hog barrel, in my mind, must have been this size. I wanted something huge rather than the size that we've been shown. Then she would have been hit on the head first. She was dead before she went in the barrel. And I really feel that Anne was already gone before and was found in that barrel. I don't feel she passed, I feel she passed before then. There's always a feeling of being asphyxiated, which I know can come from the water, but to my mind there was no spark when she was in that water. Here on site at the brewery there are 3 wells, and the water from those wells would have been used in the process of beer making back in the 1800s. There was a high magnesium count in the water that's from the wells that are here. I was told by the guide that that would leave a taste of blood in your mouth.
Something in my mouth, something in my mouth.
It's like I've got blood in my mouth. And it just goes to show how Spirit are giving us tiny snippets of information which will eventually make the whole jigsaw. The point of coming here to the brewery today was to give me an idea of the process of beer making, the process of the industry that Anne worked in back in the 1800s.
Tony Stockwell is also on his way to Nether Whittaker. He starts to pick up on more details from the case.
The feeling that I'm holding on to is a sense of her in something like a barrel, her head in the barrel, and of a man behind her pushing her forward and pushing her head down.
I almost feel like I want to keep pushing you on your shoulders, pushing you forward.
There's also a baby crying in my mind when I'm talking of that as well. She's pregnant with this man's child. It's either going to be the landlord or a man that holds some kind of responsibility or role within the public house. I don't think it's going to be like a random customer, somebody that comes into the pub that's never been there before. This guy knows the space, he knows it very well, he knows her very well. And I also know that he would have thought her troublesome and would have thought her difficult. There is some connection that takes me to a larger house, like I don't know if it's a manor house, maybe that's an over-interpretation on my part, but I kind of think there's people that own land and own property.
Pub historian Simon Fowler is an expert on the conditions of working life in Britain's pubs in the mid-1800s.
Pubs were very much a place of entertainment, a social place you would get out to. On the whole, it's men only, so you would go to avoid the family, the wife. It was often warm, so you would go along because it was a place to get warm. You could spend a whole evening and maybe drink a pint or 2. But women were second-class citizens. Of course, they didn't have to vote. In middle-class households, to a very large extent, they were not expected to work. Pubs seem to be one of the very few areas where men and women worked on some equality. At the top would have been the landlord and the landlady. There would have been barmaids and barmen, there would have been waiters, there would have been ostlers who looked after the horses, there would have been pot boys who would have cleared up and would have brought beer to waiting passengers. Pubs were the centre of village life very largely, as indeed some still are today.
The guy that actually would have killed her was a powerfully built man, not overly big. I think he would have been of average stature and yet incredibly strong, very, very muscular arms and shoulders.
Draymen were, on the whole, would have been very large individuals, very fit. Often they were from rural areas because the breweries thought that the rural labourers were much more placid. The beer would have been put into barrels for delivery and then put into the cellar.
So she's an outgoing and confident woman, and I do feel quite strongly that she wouldn't have taken much trouble from anyone. I think she was used to kicking out the drunks, whether it be men or women.
Often these women who ran pubs were formidable individuals. They would have to be just to cope with drunks in the pub and to make sure that order was kept.
Read Auburn here. Something about Auburn here. And there's Irish people around her as well at the time that she passes. She's used to hear an Irish accent. But she must have been able to converse with both pauper and prince. It's the way that she was. It was easy for her to put a point across. But beyond all of that personality thing, and beyond all those traits, I just think she needed to be silenced.
On the the way to the Dog Inn pub, TJ asks the camera crew to stop off at the local railway station.
When I did the initial one-to-one sitting with Sarah, I was really being made aware of a train and tracks and very much a feeling of confusion and some sort of commotion.
Before she was in this pub, do you know like if she was in a station or a bus station or a train station or something like that? Because I feel like there's something to do with travel, and I feel like there's a lot of people also, like commuter traffic.
And on this line here, we found, since the one-to-one sitting, that there was a major train crash. The fact that there was a huge rail crash here in the area is a part of history that Anne can impress upon my mind, that we can then find out with our research to show that we're actually in the right area, the right pub, and really hopefully be able to bring more information to the family as to what happened to Anne. It's a main routeway to her pub, and I keep in my mind, I can hear the horses and I can hear the wheels of the cart going over. This obviously wouldn't have been the same type of road back in the 1800s, but this is certainly a main passway. This is where he travels coming to and from the pub. I feel that there is a gentleman at the pub with Anne, her husband, her partner. There's certainly a connection to somebody there all the time, but there's also a connection to another man.
Coming up, Colin reveals some disturbing details.
He'd really only knocked her unconscious, but thought he'd killed her.
Tony takes a psychic paternity test.
I wonder who the father of that child was.
And the investigation reaches the scene of the murder.
It's hurting. Really hurting.
The psychic private eyes are investigating the extraordinary case of pub landlady Anne Haycock, who was found dead in a beer barrel in the cellar of the Dog Inn pub in the mid-1800s. Though there is no official record of her death, the story has been passed down through the family for over 150 years. While TJ and Tony are on the road, psychic medium Colin Fry has time for a brief meeting with Sarah in London.
I get a strong connection, an Irish connection.
And there's Irish people around her as well the time she passes.
Anyone that would have known her in the time would have said that she was a woman that was renowned for her fiery temper.
I do feel quite strongly that she wouldn't have taken much trouble from anyone.
And you may well find that as you look at the family now, on the women's side, the women are renowned for their, for their fiery temper. I don't feel this story would have been passed down through the family if the family hadn't got some connection with her. I got the feeling as though she didn't see him that frequently. She didn't see him frequently because he passed through the area. She gave me the feeling he was probably a traveller. I suspect, by what I was trying to sense from the situation, that she was probably pregnant.
She's pregnant with this man's child, and it feels out of wedlock.
There was a fight. He panicked. I did feel very strongly that, in fact, he'd really only knocked her unconscious, but thought he'd killed her. I don't believe that Anne's death was a suicide. I do believe that her body was placed into the barrel.
I see a big barrel, a big vat, like a barrel, wooden barrel, and I feel she's in the barrel.
Anne was killed. I believe that she was having an affair with a man. They had got into an argument over the fact that she was pregnant. I believe that she wanted to run away with him, and he wasn't interested. I felt that they had had an argument that had got out of hand. He struck her, which caused her to, at the very least, lose consciousness. I believe he panicked and concealed the body in the beer barrel.
All the psychics picked up on the fact that Anne was pregnant before she died. Now Tony wants to find out who was the father.
Now, I've asked to stop. We're on our way to Nether Whittaker, where Anne Haycock was found. And I guess I just need a couple of minutes to get my head around what I'm going to be doing when I get there and really what I know to begin with. Now, I know that Anne was found in the cellar of a public house. I'm aware of that. I picked that up already. I know that she was murdered, but I obviously don't know why. I guess I'm looking for some kind of motive. Who would want to kill her, and why did they do it? And certainly why did they do it in the manner that they did it in? I'm aware that Anne was in service. That's kind of important. So she would have been of working class or origin, and I know women going back some years ago didn't have the same choices as women have in present day. I know that she was young, and I'm kind of leaning back on what I've already picked up, and I kind of felt before that she was pregnant. This has some kind of connection with a lady that was in service and had got pregnant. I believe that she certainly wasn't married to the man that would eventually become the father of her child, and that just seems like a very big thing, and I'm sure it's a big thing in those days, certainly. So I guess I'm just making some notes here, just trying to get clear in my own mind, but I wonder who the father of that child was. I know that he would act without thinking, certainly, he's a little rash, but I also now believe that this man is a married man, but not married to Anne. So I believe that he's married, therefore he has a lot of responsibility to his wife and also his children. But I also know that he's in the public house where Anne was found a lot, so he's known to her and he's there a lot. But I also get a sense that he's tied to the land. So whether he's married well, and in effect he has to be married and remain married to maintain the lifestyle that he has, because if Anne is able to tell everybody there that this man has fathered her child, I just know this man feels as though he will lose everything, like she boxes him completely into a corner. At the time this happens for Anne, she's married, she's a married woman, and yet it's very strange because her husband doesn't really figure in this at all. Shortly before Anne passed, she would have entrusted a young woman around her with the full facts and details of the paternity of her child, of the love affair, and also her worry, her suspicions about what the father might do because of the things she refused to do, refusing to go away, refusing to lie, refusing to cover up. Now, at this point, kind of like embracing all of this extra information, I feel quite charged, and I'm very much looking forward now to going to this pub, to going to the village of Nether Whittaker, and just seeing whether, from being in that space, that I can pick up some greater detail.
TJ finally arrives at the Dog Inn. She immediately senses the presence of both Anne and her attacker.
We're now in the Dog Inn, the pub where Anne was murdered. And what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to draw Anne closer to me. And the more that I'm doing that, the more I'm starting to feel a lot of pain down the side of my legs, and also my throat area is becoming more and more restricted. And as I said, when I sat with Sarah, Anne's relative, I did feel that there was some bruising, something here going on with the throat. It's almost like the feeling that my throat's cut. And as I'm saying that, I'm also being hit here in the back of my head, and I can feel blood at the back of my head. There's definitely something here to the side of her head. You know, if you cut your head and you get blood on your hair. So I know that Anne would have not only have been strangled,